the Diakonia podcast. They walk among you.
Hi, this is Erik, writer-director of Diakonia, and I'm back again with episode 6 of our podcast to keep you in the loop with what we're doing. All right, so people have been saying they want a little more just about the story. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the story first so that we have that in one place for you. And then tomorrow is our first shoot day. So we did the auditions. We had a great response from Lebanon. I want to do a whole podcast about the auditions. I just didn't happen yet. I apologize. We'll do that coming up. And we have interviews, tons of interviews from those as well. So I'm really excited to get those out. We had some great people out, and we're going to be using that coming up here in the future. But we want to get this first day shot because we're shooting really high end. It's going to look amazing. We really want to get that out there to everybody so you can see the quality that we're doing this at, that we're not doing this at a low budget sort of quality, and that we can then start tagging places like Netflix and Hulu and Roku and all these other distributors. But until we have something quality to look at, I don't want to move in that direction. So our first day of shooting's tomorrow, but we'll talk about that a little more in a minute. The story. All right, everyone keeps saying the story. You're not talking about the story, Erik. The story came about, the short version is, my kids love Spider-Man. You know, they love superhero movies. I grew up watching, let's just say the best examples they had of comic book movies back in the late 80s. And I read comic books. My dad collected the Spider-Man comic books. At one point, he had every one of them except for like 4, I think. And then he sold off his collection. But he'd let us read them as kids, and he just loved comic books. And, I was just thinking about this, and I find it kind of frustrating because we have a whole bed of superpowers that you can pull from that people are aware of. And with comic books, a lot of the reason studios are picking them up, a lot of reasons Marvel's turned into what it's turned into movie-wise, is the technology that they can now show these things in a reasonable way that you actually can believe them. Where in the 80s, it just, the special effects were what they were, and what you could come up with in your brain was just so much better. And I feel personally that's why they weren't as successful. But now that we have the actual technology to make them look believable, Hollywood realized we have this whole giant just pool of people who are aware of these things, who know these, who like them, who want to, watch them. They're aware of all this stuff. They're going to sit and argue about, how the script was right or the script was wrong. And that nowadays I think has been a shift in the business. The business used to be you came at Hollywood, they saw talent, you did something that got a little bit of attention, and they'd say, all right, we can build on this. We're going to get you out there. We're going to market you. And they would help blow projects up. They would create franchises. Now they want the franchise built in. They want people to already be aware of it. They're already sitting there going, well, yeah, you might have an amazing idea, but we're going to have to spend X amount of dollars just to get it off the ground. And the truth is there's so much out there right now between all the streaming platforms that it's hard to get oxygen for anything. So you really have to come at it from a position where you have your pool of people. You already have your audience. And one of the reasons we're going to be aggressive on social media, one of the reasons I started this podcast is because we really are striving to create an audience. We need everyone like you that are listening to share the podcast, to share the social media posts on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Locals, on YouTube. We really need to get traction there, because the other thing the streaming networks really look for now is, are they bringing an audience? Do they have an audience for this already? And then they'll build you up. So that's going to be critical. So back to the story. So I really thought about this, and my kids are watching all this stuff, and I'm watching it with them, and it's amazing. But at the same time, I'm going, there is this whole basis. Like, if you are a person of faith, well, you believe in these miracles, you believe they're real, you believe they can be real. If you're a person not of faith, I don't know the exact percentage, but I would find it hard to believe in the movie watching public that, less than 80% of the people have heard of Samson, have heard of Noah's Ark, have heard of miracles from the Bible, have heard of these people doing amazing things. So there's a built-in recognition that this is real and that it has happened. And if you think about it, I mean, why not tap into that audience? That's an audience that, for the most part, no one's tapping into. There's been a couple projects, but realistically, a lot of them have not been successful, or you don't know about them. And for this project, I really wanted to create something that my kids could watch and I could watch, and that it's kid friendly in the sense that Marvel's kid friendly. You know, it's hopefully going to be a good drama. There's going to be a good story. I mean, we're going to really try to lead it. At the same time, this is a little rougher too. I mean, it's going to be a bit of I keep describing people that it's a bit of a spaghetti western. You know, kind of mixed with the show Manifest that just got brought back for an extra season. Kind of mixed with a Marvel movie. So it realistically is this Olima is the lead character. So back to the story. I ramble. You'll realize that. But I usually come around. Olima's the lead character, and she has a calling. She has the gift of knowledge and of wisdom. So what she does is, and she's the constant. So this is set out to be a multi-season series, and she is the one connecting thread. So it's going to be much like, I always forget, and someone reminds me, the horror anthology that goes on, American Horror Story, I believe, where there is connecting threads to it. Well, she's going to be that connecting thread. She's going to be, every season, she comes to a new town. She has to discern what she's there to do. Like, there's going to be something going on that needs stopped. And then she has to get her team together. So she then finds the people with the gifts of healing, of prophecy. We have a Samson character gift. We have the gift of miracles. We have the gift of faith, so that one I always stop with, because when I was writing this, the gift of faith I thought was like, what do you do with that? I mean, it just seemed like the worst possible superpower. And then I really thought about it, and I was like, that might actually be the best superpower, because what he does is, well, in this series, that's actually a male character, and what Vaughn does was, he's actually a battery. So under normal circumstances, like, his faith is a blessing to people, and the people that he's, like, he's found at a hospital. He's found at a hospital, and he's realized if he stays there and prays, the hospital's fatality rate goes way, way down, and they have much better results. And Ulima finds him there, and that's where she recruits him. And here, his gift is a battery for people with other gifts. So under normal circumstances, the Samson character is strong, very strong. But when Vaughn's around, he just amplifies it. So he's actually like this charging unit for all the other powers, which I just thought that was kind of fascinating. So she comes to town, Ulima. She has to discern what's going on. She has to gather her people. And then throughout the series, she gathers all the people she needs and works her way through the problem and figures out what she thinks and where she believes they need to get to and stop. And so in that spaghetti western way of, Clint Eastwood coming to town and, the bad guys are attacking the town, and then he gathers the town folk kind of and, kind of figures out how best to defeat them and outsmart them. That's the spaghetti western sort of feel to it in my mind. And I wanted to have that feel too, like a little bit of that gunslinger feel, a little bit of that, just those slow shots here and there, and that, like, it's them against, the world sort of thing, and insurmountable odds. And I think a lot of it is going to have that. But at the same time, it has that mystery and the wonder to it of the superpowers, of the way that these people can do amazing things. So it's still going to retain that, fun and that excitement, I believe, of that. But at the same time, it's a good thriller. So we're going to really put it out there that people, what is going to happen next? Where are we going from here? Who's she going to find next? Are they going to be able to get there? What's going to happen? Is everyone going to live? It's definitely life and death situations they're dealing with. And the overall thought of the story is that this is going to be hopefully an exciting thrill ride. It's going to feature these gifts and powers that we've mostly all heard of. And that what we're going to do is give you a fun ride based in something that you already kind of know, but we're going to show it to you in a whole different light. So the series itself is not, there's no goal other than to just use what we have and what we know about these biblical powers and bring them to the forefront today, because most Christians today don't believe, except in my knowledge, like evangelical Christians believe that these powers exist. Some do, but not to let anybody out. But in a lot of cases they don't. But at the same time, they're aware of them. And what if they did? What if these people are out there? And that's where our tagline comes from, the powerful walk among us. It is that, like, why couldn't they? And if my kids can believe that a guy gets bit by a radioactive spider and can climb walls and shoot webbing and do all sorts of stuff, I don't think it's really much more of a stretch to believe that people have been granted these gifts to do other amazing things. And I think it's going to be something that could really reach a broad audience, which I'm excited about. Again, there's no ulterior motive to this piece. A lot of Christian films, I feel personally, have that need to be overtly Christian. This film is a Christian film, I would think. You could base it, you can call it that. I mean, I would call it that. It's based in Christian principles, but at the same time, it's not trying to get a specific message across. It's saying, hey, we used to believe in these amazing powers. We many of us still believe that they were real, that they happened, and wow, wouldn't that be amazing if they happened today? Like, what could God do with these powers? What would people blessed with these powers be able to do? And it really just digs into that. And I think that's the interesting part also for me, because a lot of times with Christian films that have a targeted message, I as a filmmaker and as someone that just loves movies, I feel like it's more of a lesson and it's less of a film experience. And I wanted to make something that hopefully people go, wow, this is a great story. Wow, this is something like, that's really cool. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. What if somebody could do this or could do that? And then we go along for the ride as they solve the problem, as they figure out what great evil are they here to stop. And hopefully there's some twists and turns along the way, and hopefully we get you coming back each week. So that is the basis for the story and the basics around the story of Diakonia. We have the whole first season of 12 episodes mapped out, and we have the first episode written and ready to be seen by people. And we have a giant treatment that has all the information and characters. And what I'm going to do is probably do some podcasts just on specific characters, just so I can kind of flesh them out to you and you can come along for that ride as well. But that is the basis. That's kind of the core of what we're doing. I think it has a potential, again, to just reach so many people in a unique way. And I'm pretty excited about that. So because I'm kind of doing a twofer here, tomorrow we shoot. Super excited. We have 3 characters in this. We're going to have our Raphael character, who is the local gang member. Raphael runs his part of the town. Their gang runs that town. It's just the cops stay out of it. They rarely come around. They're, in here and there, but for the most part, they run the town. We found a really amazing actor, Jalil White from Reading. He just, at the audition, and I'll talk more about this later, was just amazing. He came in and just blew the doors off. And we had some other great auditions as well, but he definitely stood out, and he's going to be there. This is actually just a small scene for him, but I think it's going to be really cool. His big scene's coming later. We have our character Mika, who is played by Trinity Hoffman, who's a local Lebanon native. She's, again, we had just really great, talented, like interesting people came out that for Mika that had, definitely I could have chose. And there was a couple that I was like, ooh, like maybe this one, maybe that one, she has a great look for it and really did great on this. And, there was a lot of weighing of, who fits that character. Because when you're casting something like this, I had specific nationalities down, but at the same time, I'm not married to that. That's kind of your dream casting. But for something like this, it's also, who hits it out of the park? Where's the talent? And, so we picked people that just took it to the next level. And Trinity Hoffman came in and her read was great. And so we're really excited to have her coming in tomorrow as well. And then the priest role, I had a couple people I really liked for that. The priest role in the trailer is, though, realistically pretty subtle. And there is no lines for him. Actually, there's no lines for most people in it, which doesn't mean that you can just skate. Like, you still need to act. Sometimes you need to act more when there's no lines, because you have to express what's going on without that, handy tool of being able to say anything, which is very difficult. But our one producer, Brock Lawley, who you've met on other podcasts and you've met in interviews with that I've done with him. Brock has come on as a producer a while ago, and he loves the whole concept, and he's just been on board from day one. And to be honest, he has the look I needed for it and the availability. And the other people, realistically, I kind of want to keep in my back pocket, because a lot of them, I really was like, ooh, he could play this or he could play that. And with this role and the subtleness of it, I'm confident that we can get out of Brock what we need for it. So I went with Brock, who actually I don't even think, realistically, he was never kind of petitioning for a role or anything. Like, he just loves the project, and I just think he's the best move for the trailer, and I think he'll do great, and he has that look. So we purchased him a Catholic priest shirt. I got him already. Jalil sent us some pictures of his wardrobe, and he had a bunch of ideas. And we did the same thing with Mika, and she gave us a bunch of selections, and we picked her wardrobe up the other day and are in the process of finishing up making it look dirty, because she's going to be homeless and we can't have her coming in with sparkling shiny clothes. So art department is getting all that ready. And yeah, so we're just super excited. We're super excited to shoot at the Trinity Lutheran Church. It's a gorgeous church on 7th Street. And, well, it's just off 7th Street on Lehman Street. The people there have been wonderful and super accommodating. And it's just super excited to be able to focus and feature just a local church like this and a local landmark. So we're really excited about that as well. We have a wonderful crew that really is... They like the project, and they're committed, and then they just want to see this move forward. So, this early shoot is really going to be the roughest of them, because we don't have the resources that we would like to have for it. But to push a project like this forward, that's kind of how life works. There's always the cart before the horse, and we kind of need to get this first scene done so we can really then come out and say, hey, here's what we're doing, and hopefully reach some of the local businesses and get some local business sponsorship, so we can, end all these podcasts with, actually start and end all the podcasts with, sponsored by this local business. And hopefully we can pull some of them in and they see the worthwhile in the marketing, and hopefully we can raise some money by doing I have a donor box page we'll be bringing out shortly, where, for like $10, you'll be able to donate to the project, and then we'll give you a shout out on social media. And then it goes up from there, and the different things we'll do for you, and the credits you can get, and hopefully we can get a couple people that are interested in something like this and say, hey, I want to get on board. Like, this is something I want to do. I want to see this happen in Lebanon, and come out and support us, and hopefully we can raise the funds so that the next 3, I believe we're going to break it into 3 more shoots, we can have a little more resources, and that would be make life easier. But, we all love doing this. I love film. I made my first film, and I'll do a podcast about that later. But my first film was called The Creek. We shot it in Lickdale and in Clayona at a local business that they said we could use, and a friend's uncle and dad's cabin who said, just don't burn it down. And we wrote the script for that, and The Creek was on Netflix, Blockbuster. It was available at all major DVD outlets, and it really did wonderful for such a low-budget film. But at the same time, I've always been waiting to bring it up a notch. I don't want to do another low-budget film like that for reasons I'll cover in another podcast. So we really wanted to wait and do something, big, something where we can really make a run at it, and Diakonia is it. So thank you so much. That's going to be it for now. Again, there's our basic story. Tomorrow is the big first day, so wish us luck. Share our podcast, let people know, share all our social media, and we're going to be dumping out a ton of pictures, a ton of stills. We're going to be putting out a lot of social media after this shoot. So please keep an eye on all of the social media places. Share our stuff. Tell your friends. We're also going to have a really cool tie-in with businesses and a giveaway. So that's going to happen too. So yeah, we got a lot going on. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and I'll keep updating you on the nitty gritty, and hopefully you'll feel like you're part of the shoot. All right. Thanks so much.
The Diakonia podcast. They walk among you.